Hi friends, I'm Audrey, founder of the We Won't Be Silenced campaign, which aims to destigmatize topics of reproductive health through storytelling and education. Also, today is International Women's Day.
Happy International Women's Day. I'm Angelica Martinez. I am a student at NYCDA, and my sex education history goes back to high school, where I was part of this program that would go around to the freshman classrooms, and we would teach them topics about sexual health, domestic violence, things like birth control, all those things that are in that.
I started teaching sex education when I was in high school as well. I worked with Planned Parenthood with the STARS program, so students teaching about responsible sexuality, and we taught other high school students, sometimes middle school students, about sex education, birth control usage, all that good stuff, sex toys. We're going to be talking about all of that here and working to end the stigma around that, especially through Gen Z, because
it's a normal thing.
Yes, and our voices have power.
Exactly.
So.
And as women on International Women's Day, it's important that we voice our opinions and how we feel about these things, because we are important.
Yes, that actually brings us into our next thing. So we're going to be looking at some stories today. Today's more of an introduction to sex education and people's views on it and why we need more of it, why it's missing. So you'll see that in the next clip.
You're a woman. You must be exaggerating.
You don't look gay.
I was only 15.
Sexual health education.
Menstruation.
Pleasure. Birth control.
Black maternal health care.
Abortion.
Reproductive advocacy.
LGBTQIA experiences.
Domestic violence and sexual assault.
Toxic masculinity.
HIV and STIs.
Safe.
Healthy.
I never had sex education.
How are we expected to know how to have safe sex, explore our bodies, know about STDs, if it's stigmatized and we don't talk about it in schools and the information is not accessible?
Usually when a guy loses his virginity, it's celebrated. Yet when a girl does, it's somehow a loss of innocence. A lot of the stigma is what creates my anxiety around sex.
I didn't learn much, which left me with a lot of questions. So I turned to the internet, which can be a very scary place. There was barely any mention of variances on queer sexualities. Nothing on relationships or healthy structures, nothing on consent or body image. It was not extensive enough at all to make informed, healthy sexual choices for the right reasons.
Since the 3rd grade, they would separate boys and girls when talking about health, and so boys wouldn't know about the female bodies, and they'll get disgusted when talking about periods and tampons.
We won't be silenced.
We won't be silenced.
We won't be silenced.
We won't be silenced.
Oftentimes, a lot of older people told me that I was too young to protest, too young to talk about reproductive health, too young to be a sexual health educator.
Hi, I'm Audrey O'Donnell.
Hi, I'm Audrey.
My name is Quidia.
And we're here to express to you why we think sex ed is so important.
And vital.
I often remind myself that women are not the only people that need access to abortion. Queer people, non-binary, transgender, agender, gender fluid folks, and many more are included in this conversation. Yes, we are here today to stand for everybody who accesses reproductive health care. We must advocate for everyone and protect our right to make our own medical decisions as we step into our futures. Many times at the State House, protesters have yelled that I am too young to have a say, that I'm warped, and that I don't know what I'm talking about. Those experiences have only increased my resolve to stand up for reproductive rights, for not only myself, but everyone around me. I've become pretty resilient. The voice of youth leaders has come to the forefront. Who better to lead our future than the very people who are our future? The Reproductive Health Care Act. I researched, spoke publicly, testified in committee.
I'm O'Donnell, and I'm here to advocate in favor of the Reproductive Health Care Act. I'm a junior at the Met High School, a peer sex educator, a youth empowerment organization founder, and intern at Planned Parenthood. You might already begin to see why the Reproductive Health Care Act would be so important to me, particularly as a young person who's going to be affected by whether or not this bill is passed. So, where do we currently stand? We fear that Roe v. Wade will be overturned and will interfere with our right to a safe and legal abortion. Roe v. Wade has enabled those of whom that need an abortion to access it legally and has historically prevented people from experiencing complications due to unsafe, illegal abortions. Therefore, we need you as members of the General Assembly to be on our side by protecting the right to a safe and legal abortion right here in Rhode Island. Young people, like me, need to have access to full sexual and reproductive health care services, including contraceptive health care, immunizations, STD and STI tests, pregnancy-related services, and more. The challenges threatened by not passing the Reproductive Health Care Act pose various risks. We see these through discrimination or potential future troubles of finding providers who do clinical work around reproductive health. We need these services to benefit our health and our futures. We should all be able to build families when and if we are ready to plan for the futures we dream of. We need to be able to get the health care we need, and that includes abortion. It's time to pass the Reproductive Health Care Act. Thank you.
Thank you, Audrey.
Thank you, Audrey.
Okay.
Lobbied and encouraged youth turnout throughout the youth organization that I founded with a local community organizer. I've learned that those who oppose this movement believe that I don't have the right as a young person to have a say in my health care. Reality check, I do.